hey there, Janet. This is a VR2VR because I started finding myself leaving a comment to you and it was going on like paragraphs and paragraphs. So, thank God for video cameras. I can get it done more easily. Okay, first I want to start this by saying I have been watching you ever since you were staying with Jacqueline Dubois. What was it, last year sometime? Or maybe the year before. I can't even remember how long ago it was. And I was just so struck by how upbeat and positive your personality is. And I just so enjoyed watching you. Then somehow I never ended up subscribed to your YouTube channel. I'm not sure why. In fact, I don't even think I'm subscribed now. I'm going to have to go back and fix that if I'm not. But, you know, I started seeing you on Facebook, and I just really, I enjoy following you. I really do, and I have for a long time. So, having said that, so much of what you were saying strikes a chord with me. We've had some very similar experiences. I know I've talked about my 5th grade experience before, but I'm going to say it again in case you didn't see that video. I too was a heavy kid. I probably weighed in somewhere around 120 pounds when I was in the 5th grade. I was not the fattest girl. I was probably the 2nd fattest girl. And well, maybe I was the fattest girl. I think I was the 2nd fattest though. Anyway, my 5th grade teacher was a very gruff, no-nonsense older woman named Mrs. Allard. And Mrs. Allard took no crap. And she was a very good teacher, and she had a heart of gold. And this is what Mrs. Allard did for me. Oh, I guess it must have been around maybe February, late February. Mrs. Allard started taking us out to the playground every day in the afternoon. We'd come back from lunch. We'd have about 45 minutes of work, and then she'd round us all up and take us out on the playground, and she would just run our asses around that playground. Oh, we were supposed to run the perimeter of the fence, and she'd be standing there with her whistle and yelling at us, and she was a matronly woman. She wasn't obese or anything like that, but she was a padded, 63-year-old battle axe, and she'd run us, and then we'd go in all exhausted. And the next day she'd do it, and the next day she'd do it, every single day. She must have done that to us for 6 weeks. Well, at the end of that 6 weeks, I was weighing in at about 105 pounds, and I was completely unaware of how the exercise was affecting me, and I don't recall doing anything different. I wasn't dieting. I didn't even understand what dieting was back then. So, so at the end of this 6-week exercise regime that she put us on, we're in the classroom, and she says, okay, she says, you guys did real great on your 6 weeks of exercise. And then she points at me and she says, Cheryl, she says, stand up. So I did. And she says, class, I want you to take a look at Cheryl. Cheryl has lost so much weight, and she's looking so beautiful. And I think we need to congratulate Cheryl for doing this, for losing weight and being able to run. Okay, that was probably the wrong thing to do because she singled me out. But that old lady was so proud of herself. She told me later, when we were alone, I mean, she didn't say this in front of the class, she told this to me later. She said that the whole reason she did that 6 weeks worth of exercise was because of me. I don't know why the other girl wasn't involved. Maybe she told the other girl the same thing, I don't know. But she said that she knew that if she got me out running every day, that it would help me to lose weight. So I, as a 5th grader, was too young, inexperienced, embarrassed by everything, just kind of a dipshit to really get it. I was just embarrassed, kind of. I mean, in a way I was sort of proud, and in a way I was kind of embarrassed, that whole deal. But yeah, I had a 5th grade teacher kind of like your 5th grade teacher. Mine just screwed up in that one thing. She should have said everything to me privately. But in retrospect, I realized she was proud of herself for what she'd done. So I'm going to give her a pass on that. Yeah, It's funny how we all relate to the scale. Well, we don't all relate differently, but there are different ways that we can relate to a scale. For some of us, it's just a tool. It doesn't matter. We step on it every once in a while, whatever. For other people, they, particularly women, will hover over that scale, will step on it daily, sometimes twice a day, worrying about all these little fluctuations that are normal in our weight, okay? Other people say, you know, screw you to the scale. I'm fat, I'm going to be fat forever, and I don't need you to tell me. My relationship with the scale was always a little trepidation, but also I had this magical thinking that surrounded the scale, and actually a lot of things in my life. And by magical think, what I'm saying is, I would think that if it would make a difference if I was wearing my underwear or not when I got on the scale. I couldn't have wet hair, because wet hair would make me weigh more. All of these really unreasonable notions that really were more like bargaining, you know, emotional bargaining. For example, okay, I don't have wet hair, I'm not wearing my underwear, so my scale is going to give me the result I want because I'm playing the game correctly, if that makes any sense. So I built up a lot of these magical thinking scenarios across all of my relationship with weight and weight loss, not simply the scale. Things like this. If I had decided I was going to diet, all I would have to do would be to eat a cookie, and it would ruin it. All the weight's coming right back on. That one cookie will have destroyed all the work I'd done before, so screw it, why even worry about it? You know, eat the rest of the pack kind of thing. Gosh, I wish I could remember more, because it's been a long time since I've had these magical notions about weight, because I just gave up. You know, I gave up years ago. I figured I'm just going to be a fat old lady and hobble into fat old ladyhood, and that's just the way it's going to be. But like you, this time is different. It is fundamentally different, because I am I am teaching myself how to think about food, how to be realistic about what it means to eat the cookie, or what it means to go off my diet for a couple days if I do that. What it means to lose control. Deciding you're going to go off your diet's one thing. Losing control and stuffing your face for an entire evening with everything you can see, that's a different situation altogether. So instead of going brain dead when that happens, and it does, I mean, it's happened, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 times since August, I've really kind of lost control like that. When that happens, I try to stay present in it. I mean, I tell myself, stay aware of what you're doing. Yes, you're hungry, and you're not going to let that See's candy sit there, because, well, in part because it's one of your favorites. So that's like a double whammy. It's a See's candy #1. It's a chocolate covered caramel #2. I am not letting that sucker sit there. And so then, okay, well, I'm not letting it sit there, am I? No. And I go and pick it up and I eat it. I'm eating it. Yeah, it tastes good. Yeah, it tastes good. How good does it taste? Does it taste better than having left it on the counter? Would it taste? No, it tastes better eating it than leaving it on the counter. Then later, when I come out of my, fog of food lust, then I ask myself the same questions. Okay, I've set myself behind a day and a half, or 2 days, or 3.5 days. So did that food taste better than being set behind tastes bad, if I'm making any sense here? So I keep trying to stay present, trying to ask myself questions, trying not to think magically, trying to be logical and base my opinions about things and my feelings about them on reality. That's kind of new. Because I don't have a real history of understanding my weight and its fluctuations, where it needs to be. If I can eat mindlessly and still maintain my weight. In other words, can I eat habitually in a way that in a habit that I've created over the course of this weight loss time? Will I ever get to the point where I'm continuing to eat that way and I'm aware of whether I'm up or down just by like how my clothes feel and all that? See, all this stuff is so brand new to me that I'm having to go back and take, remedial weight loss kind of, classes in my head. So this is how I now look at the scale. It's just a tool. Different scales are going to weigh me different amounts. Different times of the day, I'm going to weigh different amounts. If I weigh with my clothes on and my scale weighs 2.5 pounds more than it does when I'm naked, it doesn't mean I weigh 2.5 pounds more actually when I weigh with my clothes on. I haven't lost any ground. I understand, I'm beginning to understand about weight fluctuations and plateaus and those sorts of things. And the scale is helping me do that. Redefining my relationship with the scale is helping me to do that. I think that hopping on a scale once a week, let me back up. If and when I get to a weight that I can say is acceptably stable and healthy, and I'm comfortable there, then I think hopping on the scale once a week is a good idea. I know I'll feel it in my clothes. If I hop on the scale and I weigh 2 pounds more than I did the last week, I'll just sort of make note of that. If I hop on the scale the next week and I'm 3.5 pounds more, 4 or 5 pounds more, then I'll be fairly well confirmed that I'm going to need to dial back some of my calories. So I want to use it more as a informational touchstone than something that I worry about on a weekly basis. I think I'll look at it more on a cumulatively 2 to 4 week basis. If I'm starting to creep up over a 2 to 4 week basis, then that means I need to back out on my calories. So that's where I'm headed with my relationship with my scale. I really freaked out when my husband brought me the other scale and it weighed, then all of a sudden they weighed different. What do I really weigh? What I had to learn from that experience was basically what you said. It doesn't really matter. What matters is ask yourself, okay, have I been eating correctly? Check. Have I been drinking enough water? Check. Have I eaten too much recently? Well, yeah, maybe I have. I have, because it was such and such the birthday. I had some cake. I had this. I had that. Okay, so maybe that can account. Maybe that sugar can account for your metabolism redoing its thing. Are you going to eat cake and pie and stuff at the next little thing that you go to? Well, no. I think at the next little thing I'm going to say no. Maybe the following event I might have some of whatever they have that's sweet, but this upcoming one, no, I'm not. It's that sort of really just common sense behavior that I'm having to learn for the very first time. So I'm going to forge ahead and be present and pay attention and continue to think about where all this is taking me. I wanted to touch on motivation a little bit. My motivation of this time, which is probably time number 5,001 that I've tried to lose weight, my motivation is fear and pain. Fear and pain. I mean, shit has gotten real. I have a stress fracture probably from being too heavy and doing too much heavy lifting and work. My joints hurt. I mean, I've got strong knees. I don't need knee replacements or anything. But the joints they're stressed and they're letting me know, hey, you know what? It's this too much on your knees. My hips hurt. I am slow. I think slowly. All that. Those were the things I was identifying when I started losing weight back in August. pain and then fear. You know, my blood pressure still is up in the 160s over 90s. And I won't take medication either. I won't do it. At least not yet. I want to get down to, I want to continue losing weight and continue checking my blood pressure to see if the loss of weight and the types of food that I'm eating and the types that I'm not eating actually work to you know, increase my level of general health. I'm very lucky. I don't have high cholesterol. Like I said, I don't have knees that need to be replaced. I'm very sturdy, but I'm also kind of a type A stress ball, and you know, my blood pressure is high. It just is. So I'm going to stay on top of that. I'm not afraid of the blood pressure cuff anymore. When I go into the doctor, I don't freak anymore. She starts the blood pressure and she's like, oh, I got to do this again. I'm like, yeah, I know you do. My blood pressure's high. Come back in 10 minutes and take it again, and it's going to be down about 8 points. And it always is, because I have that white coat syndrome, or I used to. I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm tired of being controlled. I'm tired of being controlled by my weight, by my fear, by my pain, by authority figures, by, you know, old baggage. I don't want to be controlled anymore. I want to be in control. So this weight loss journey, which is a good word, is about a lot of things, and taking my life back for the first time. Taking my life for the first time, being in control of my life for the first time, is like my primary deal, and everything else I think is going to fall into place. Gosh, I've talked forever. I'm so sorry. This was a long one. Anyhow, loved your video response. Love watching you, and I've been so inspired by you as I've watched you do the Whole30, because I started watching you do this Whole30 thing way back in the beginning when you started it. So I've sort of, you know, I've kind of been along. I've watched your face thin down and your skin become radiant, and you know, all of those things that have been happening to you. I've been watching that happen, and it's been such an inspiration. So on that note, I'm going to say goodbye and upload this very poorly lit video. I really need to dial in the video thing. I need to have some decent lighting, be a little bit not so like catch can with the videos these days. But this is reality. This is the way it is. So this is what I'm doing. I will talk to you guys later. Bye. Thanks again, Janet. I really appreciate it. Bye-bye.